Sirs, Maulavis, Ulmas, Honorable Leader of the SLMC, my good friend, Minister Rauf Hakim, Honorable Deputy Minister Harris, Honorable Member of Parliament Mansoor, our former Chief Minister Nazir Ahmed, the distinguished members of the SLMC High Command, including Mr. Abdul Majid, the Chairman of the Samanture Pradesh Sabha, Mr. Naushad, the distinguished chairmen, members of the political establishment in the area and that of the SLMC, distinguished friends, brothers, and ladies and gentlemen. I would like to speak in whatever language except the majority preferred language of Tamil at this moment. Am I to speak in English or in Sinhalese? English. I'll try to get into some areas of Sinhalese as well. Today I've been asked to be part of a major commemorative occasion, I would term, not only in the Eastern Province, but in the political calendar of Sri Lanka. And it happens to be occasion in which we are today remembering our great leader and my one-time colleague and friend, Honorable Leader of the SLMC and Minister, MHM Ashraff. It has so happened that when I was invited by Honorable Rauf Hakim to speak today, on the day in which we are remembering him, commemorating him, highlighting the great contribution he has made, and I was asked to be the keynote speaker and deliver the Ashraff Memorial Lecture. I took it upon myself as a privilege and indeed as an honor. And above all, that also gives me the opportunity to recall my own association with this great leader, a friend, colleague, and a great both the political and spiritual personality of our country. Why do I say this? First time I saw our late leader, Honorable Ashraff, was in the year 1973 in the month of January. I entered the Sri Lanka Law College and I was in the first year batch. And there were only few law students at that time. We had only about 200 students in the entire college. And in the first year we have about 50 to 70 students. And majority of them sometimes happen to be equally distributed, not majority, between the females and the males. So we come on only about 35, 40 in a batch of male students. I remember this figure of a smart, fair, young, and a personality that is walking up the Ashraff Hill, where we all used to come by bus and walk that stretch of hill where the Ashraff court premises and the law college is situated. So every time when we walk, I happened to be talking to this senior student at law college. He was in a higher batch and he was about to pass out in a year or so. So with that, We got into conversations. And then it happened, he passed out in the year 73 towards the latter part, and he joined the legal profession. We never had a political association, so to say. But the figure of Honorable Ashraff during the time of President Premadasa's administration happened to be get in touch with me once again. At that time, I became the chairman of Ceylon Cement Corporation. And Honorable Ashraff was the single SLMC member of Parliament. And he had a great favor by this distinguished upcoming leader having a philosophy, having a purpose in politics, and above all, a friend in terms of what has to be meted for his people. There were common grounds in terms of whatever administration that came into being, and that's how day by day the name of Ashraff in the annals of Sri Lanka's political lifeblood started becoming more and more visible. SLMC was formed with his own experiences of having associations with almost all political shades of Sri Lanka. He had a great association and friendship with the Tamil leadership as well, including SJB Chelvanayagam at that time. That is the formative period of Honorable Ashraff if you have to analyze him today. How did the SLMC become the third force in this country contemporarily? And amongst the political parties that have been created since independence, and the one that brought in the United National Party in 1947, followed by the SLFP Sri Lanka Freedom Party in 1951, and now the SLMC in the 80s that came in to lay a foundation of continuity in the political annals. What is the driving force for which the SLMC under its creator, its founder, made the creation and the foundation for? This, I think, Honorable Hakim, matters for greater discussion so that it will form part of Sri Lanka's academic analysis amongst the academics and the politicians and the social subjects that the years will always keep on studying. I recall one important facet to which Honorable Ashraff was devoted to. When it came to national political decision-making processes, which is the constitutional development of Sri Lanka, whether it was various separatist agendas that were entertained, or whether it was in the formation of governments during the last 30 years, what the SLMP role was, how it was looked at, and how it has made a difference in Sri Lanka's political fabric as much as in its establishment. Why as one single country, today we are in a position to look at an agenda different from that of what was advocated in the past? How the separatist agendas were defeated and greater unity to prevail in terms of understanding amongst political parties. Realization of a unity government, that of two different forces in the Sri Lanka's political makeup, United National Party and that of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party today, was something that we have to address vis-a-vis that of the contribution at one time Honorable Ashraff went on to make as much as stood for. When it came to the formation of the 1994 President Chandrika Kumar Tunga's administration, at that time I was closely associated with the United National Party under President D.B. Vijayatunga, in which Prime Minister was Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe. I had day-to-day contacts, presence, association with late President D.B. Vijayatunga. I remember very well UMP experiencing a result that could have gone either way. In August 1994, everyone was waiting for the SLMC leaders' decision. It is a well-spoken historical fact how we came to meet up with His Excellency at that time the President D.B. Vijayatunga, leader of the UMP as well. How the tea meeting took place, and thereafter how we adjourned to meet up with the SLFP Prime Ministerial candidate, Honorable at that time Prime Minister to be Chandrika Kumar Tunga Bandaranaike. That was a critical decision one had to make as a leader. Balance of power laid entirely in the support that late Ashraff could have extended to either side. It was not to come the UMP way. Reasons are matters for further discussion at times of relevancy, but not today. But that decision paved the way for, after 17 years of ruling by the new United National Party, to experience a defeat at the general elections and the emergence of a SLFP-led government under Chandrika Kumar Tunga Bandaranaike. She went from being Prime Minister to become the President of the country and led the country for a long period of 11 years. Thereafter, SLMC during that period, and similarly thereafter at every turn, in the formation of governments of Sri Lanka. I remember the year 2000 in which I entered Parliament. 2001, how the sitting government got defeated in the House. I remember the role of the SLMC, and that paved the way for the United National Party led by Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe to become the Prime Minister again, in which government I became the Minister for Industries. And that we went on till 2004. And how again, in the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration, SLMC came to support the Rajapaksa administration that led to defeat terrorism in this country. Back again in the year 2015, how the timely support that was extended for a government that we term as a unity government under President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The government that we call Yahapalnya was formed on the principles of unity to address issues that are confronting the society and the political purpose and the trajectory for the people of this country. Who made the start of unity? Experiment Honorable late Ashraff brought into the political fabric not to be static, not to be dogmatic, but through the process of pragmatism in the political process, to look at how best the issues can be addressed. Maybe it's a paradox that the philosophy of which Honorable late leader Ashraff stood for surfaced much later in life, where his term or beyond after his life. The fact that he stood for unity, the fact that he wanted the protection for the Muslim community in a very adverse conditions that prevailed at that time through a separatist conflict that affected Sri Lanka for 30 long years. We all emerge as contemporaries and witness the savage, the bloody state of Sri Lankan separatist and extremist forces. And today when we look back, the contribution of late leader Honorable Ashraff has a significant position in the memory channels of our country. How we brought up the need for unity and need for security of his community in the Eastern Province. Eastern Province, as much as our former Chief Minister will be able to say, I have studied very carefully during my term as governor now. The facets that it contributes and the strength it commands. And above all, the need for greater understanding, cooperation, respect amongst all three communities. There is no part of Sri Lanka that has the representation of all three communities of Sri Lanka concentrated well in terms of equality to some extent, in terms of size, numbers, purpose, and the needs, as much as that of the Eastern Province. I am happy Honorable Rohitha is lead in the front. With that, I am happy to say the leadership that is currently being offered in terms of what has been built up in the hands of Honorable Ashraff. Government had a leverage within the political makeup, but today that is getting more and more wider and more representation coming. But how much on the needs of the people of the Eastern Province getting addressed without the proper communications as much as proper channels of our requirements being taken to the center. That is why I am happy. More ministers coming from the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and that of the other Muslim parties, catering to the needs of the people of the Eastern Province. As I was mentioning, Honorable Ashraff have led the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, not limited for the political purpose of leading the Muslim community. Majority of them are now in the Eastern Province, but to bring in an equilibrium in terms of national politics. That is why I was recalling every occasion in which a government had to be formed in this country. That happens every 6 years. At that time, now it may be every 5 years. The role of the SLMC has become part and parcel of a government to be formed with the support and collaboration of this party. He made it possible by bringing about the factor not only of a Muslim identity or an Eastern purpose, but bring out the need for greater accommodation of all sections of our society at the national level in our governance. Therefore, we are happy to recall his contribution as a philosopher in creating a political party, a purpose for which he has already devoted his life and sacrificed it at a relatively young age. At the age of 50, he was no more with us in his own life. But during that period of his service, there is nothing that he had left unturned, both in terms of the areas that he was devoted to serve. The Eastern Province, in bringing out the political issues to the center, focusing on the need for constitutional changes that will address the greater needs of our people, the protection of rights of all communities, spearheading campaigns that were of extremist viewpoints to be defeated through the process of greater engagement and dialogue, taking on the philosophy of religions to the forefront, like even public debates with Buddhist clergy to explain the standpoint that he believed in terms of Buddhist interpretations, and the study of Islam deeply and in a very meaningful manner that will usher the spiritual factors in life to be addressed and to be followed by all in society. In terms of material development, if I go from here to Trincomalee, the majority physical development during the time of Honorable Ashraff being continued even now, including the universities, the ports, the schools, the hospitals, you name all areas of engagement in the day-to-day lives of our people. And that has spearheaded across the Muslims, the Tamils, and to the Sinhalese as well. How the NUA came to be formed as a National Unity Alliance, and how MPs from this area of the Sinhalese MPs went into Parliament are matters that we must recall, including the current Member of Parliament, Disanaika, serving from the Gamadulla, starting from the new National Unity Alliance under leader Ashraff and getting into politics and to the National Assembly. How that accommodation came about, how the Liberal Party came to join the SLMC, and how Asita Perra became Nationalist MP through the SLMC representing the chamber. And these are factors that have to be remembered, how it went across the board of spectrum, across all divide, but to reach out to the people what he believed that mattered most. Therefore, Honorable Ashraff's life is a life of many facets, life of many purposes. And it happened the day 18 years ago that life came to an end. I still remember on the 16th of September 2000, we were in the midst of election campaign, the general elections. I was a candidate from the Kurnool district, and we got the sad news about the demise and the accident the late leader suffered. I was in the company of Honorable Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, traveling from Bogollagama meeting to another meeting in Kurnool. We were both in the car when the sad news came. And that was again a turning point in Sri Lanka's political landscape. The great leader lost, emergence of purpose for which he was devoted in the hands of a new leadership that went through tests, and today it has got consolidated. And with this, our life, when we remember our friends, I had the privilege of knowing Honorable late Ashraff as a friend and a colleague, and also his wife, Ferial, as a cabinet colleague and as a friend. And therefore, Here is a friend that is lost to me and being remembered today in an area where I am representing the Constitution and that of the President of Sri Lanka. And I take this privilege to thank Honorable Rauf Hakim, who has now the task of taking the flag forward in terms of the purpose for which the Excellency philosophy lies, for unity amongst people and for prosperity of all. At the national level, governments get formed and government after government comes in order to administer this country. At every time, people's interest, country's well-being and security of our motherland will come foremost for political leadership decisions. And therefore, I am sure our relationship with the people of the East will grow from strength to strength, and in terms of the philosophy of late Honorable Ashraff will remain the unity foremost and prosperity to all. With these words, may I wish everybody here a very happy future, and my dear friend, late Ashraff, in terms of my beliefs, in terms of our religion, my faith as a Buddhist, may he retain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Thank you.